Hello everyone, Pierce Nation here. Welcome to a new video today. We are going to be discussing, I guess, best way to put it would be like dueling demeanor. We've been over this before, and we're going to do it again. So, basically, it, like, the way I carry myself as a Yu-Gi-Oh player in general is not only do I carry the best cards, I am one of the best pilots with my decks, and I play the most fair. If I miss an activation, I always mention it. If I do something illegal, I strictly go back. That way, I keep the game state fair, where the game state is not altered, and I do not get an advantage. So, there have been a few people, again, we're not going to mention any names, not start no drama, where this has not been the case. And people I play with on a daily basis. So, these are problems that will happen and they will occur, but as a player of myself, I will not humiliate anybody, I will not shame anybody. But if I do play said people, I will call them out on these plays. Now, is this all this video is about? No. This video is about me talking to you all, about is this game a rich person's game? By no means. By no means is Yu-Gi-Oh! A rich person's game. You can play any deck you want. Play any deck. Now, if you want to win, you can play certain decks that will give you a slight advantage. But it all depends on the pilot. The best pilots win the most games. I will tell you that strictly, like straight off. With Blue Eyes, the reason I won so many games post Chillamette and Bestials format is because I knew the deck inside and out, and I knew every single play, and I knew how to beat every single deck. Where now, Blue Eyes is a little bit irrelevant. If you haven't noticed, you have to mix it with Branded, and as a pure Blue Eyes player, I don't want to mix something with something else. I want it to be good on its own. And right now, it's not that. Until Bestials and D-Shifter get out of the format, I will not touch Blue Eyes deck because I don't have a high win percentage. And that's like a big problem. So, we're going to get on further into this, and we're going to talk about some decks to where if you don't have a lot of money, or you just want to buy one specific deck, you can buy that deck, learn that deck, and do not stop until you have mastered. So the number one deck that you could play, and I've played it a million times on the channel, it is literally dirt cheap. Some of the cards will run you a little pricey if you're trying to build it with like the Pot of Prosperities, but it is Altergeist. Altergeist, I will be taking it to a regional this coming Saturday. It is one of the best decks. It is getting support at the end of the next month, and the deck will be tier 1. The deck will be insane. It's already insane right now. If you don't know, you can play it. I've literally lost like 2 games in the past 3 weeks. I don't ever lose with it. I don't lose literally to any deck with it. I've only lost to a handful of players because they have found the one weak spot that I had and they had gotten through it. Now, another deck you could play that is budget is Trap Tricks. You could play Trap Tricks. Trap Tricks is a pretty good budget deck. You can do a lot with Trap Tricks. And it's not as good as Altergeist, but it is still good. So you could play Trap Tricks and be fine. Another budget strategy I would probably say would be Sword Soul. Sword Soul is a pretty budget strategy minus the Baron. You take the Baron out of the equation and the Accel Synchron, and you have a pretty budget Sword Soul deck, and Sword Soul is not a bad deck to play. Another I got two more budget strategies that I do want to talk about, and um, if you would be surprised, Branded and Kestur are definitely not one of them. So, Labyrinth isn't a budget strategy either. It still costs quite a bit to build that deck as well. The decks I'm looking for are 200 and under. So, another budget strategy that you can do is what is called Sprite Tri-Brigade. So, Sprite, or Tri-Brigade Sprite, however you want to say it, is one of the best budget strategies that you can make. Tri-Brigade was busted back in Zodiac Tri-Brigade format back when Drytron was a thing and was at full power. So the Tri-Brigade strategy is still very strong and is only going to get stronger as time goes on. And the same thing with Sprite. You know, Sprite had the two waves of support. I would say Sprite's not done. Starter going to 2 literally doesn't do much. Plus, if you mix a Tri-Brigade with it, it is pretty powerful, and that's another deck that's under $200. And the last deck that I have to talk about on the budget side of the strategy is probably one of the best anti-meta decks of all time, which is Kaiju Control. Kaiju Control is absolutely insane. It's a deck that mains all three Gozen, Rivalry, and Tikaboo. The reason it mains the 3 is it locks your opponent down to where they can literally only control 1. And the Kaiju strategy, you basically give your opponent Game of Seal, you special out the big guy, and you just keep swinging away. They have to get rid of basically all 3 of them to even be able to play the game, and if they happen to start breaking boards, then you just Kaiju Slumber and pop everything anyway. So like those decks are all very very good. They're all very budget. I believe Altergeist is the best of the 5. Why is Altergeist the best of the 5? It has the most negates. It doesn't have the most support, but the new support that it has been getting and will get in July is enough to push it to top tier, and it's probably the best deck because Kestur is going to get power creeped like never before. Just trust me on that one. If you think that the Vanquished Soul wasn't the best deck after 2 tops coming in today, I think that argument's out because it got top 2 and top 8. So, I mean, you top with a 2nd place slot and you top with an 8th place slot with a deck that is absolutely insane and all the monsters have 3 effects on their own. I would say Vanquished Soul is probably the best deck out right now and will remain that until Unchained, Dinos, and Altergeist get their full support. Because I would say Unchained, Altergeist, Dinos, and Vanquished Soul are going to be your top tier 1 decks. And you might even see Altergeist hit that tier 0 slot. Or it could be any of the 4. It all just depends on how the meta shifts and what cards are being played, what cards are being mained. Altergeist has a strong strategy where they throw up Rivalry Warlords and they can basically shut out Vanquished Soul, but Vanquished Soul can also fight on its own, throwing up Tikaboo, which forces Altergeist to out it, which Altergeist can do it very easily and go full combo because they can not only not play on their turn, but they can also play on their opponent's turn too. They were the first deck to be able to do that, which was very insane, and to have more cards to their arsenal from what they already have, that pretty much gets personal spoofing out of the deck to where they don't even have to play it. All they have to do is draw into the main combo pieces and just keep hitting it and keep realigning. The deck's absolutely busted, absolutely insane. So that's all I've got on the budget deck side of things. Now, as a player, do you need to go out and spend $800 on a deck to win? I will tell you this 110%. You do not. You do not. You can go out and buy Altergeist, and when that new support comes out, add those few cards in. I can tell you exactly what to put in it. I've got 3 variations. They all work. Just one's more control, one's a mid strategy, and the other one is full combo. So the full combo one is the one you have to be careful with because you will run into nib quite frequently. But beyond that, the 3 decks are all tier 1 and higher. The combo side, it basically ends on Apo, and then it does its Altergeist plays on the back burner. It doesn't set up protocol first, it actually sets up manifestation, so it can shoot through spell negates, and it ends on like adminion. So when you go manifestation, specials Hextia, and then you special faker to the zone it points to, special I forget what's called, Maul Wisp, there we go. The special Maul Wisps and specials Silk back from grave, and it's just a really good way to be able to set up a good board. But like I said, if you guys want to know more about that, just let me know. I've been testing all 3 decks quite frequently. I can show you exactly how they're aligned, and I can show you. But I do think if you're going to go budget, Altergeist is the way to go. And if you're not familiar with Altergeist, you can look at one of my lists, or you can ask me for a updated list, because I literally have the deck right over there. I have every card in it. I have the entire side deck. As you can see here, side deck, starting with Harpy's Feather Duster. I can show you exactly what to play in it. There are multiple ways to play this deck, especially with 1-for-1. You can do basically what you want, but I'm trying to limit my spells. I don't want to end up with a lot of spells because I do main anti-spell in the main. I stopped playing the Secret Village Spellcasters. I was playing 3 of it, but you know, this is all about a player. A player, you should know how your deck is supposed to run and how you're supposed to manifest your resources. And if your opponent has nothing but spells and they can't really extend, then Sequitos really goes hard. I find that going harder than Secret Village and kind of just like trying to wait when they have a lot of monster removal, which hurts my deck ultimately. So, so those are the budget strategies that I have for you. You can do a lot more. You can play Invoke. You can do basically whatever you want. It's all up to you. Now, we'll move on to the subject to one that is familiar to everyone. Is how many people, some people that are here, they're here for casuals, and then there are some people that are on my channel because they like to know, like, what are the expectations, and how good of a player really am I. Well, I'll tell you this, at my local card shop, I have gotten no less than 4th place in every single tournament since the beginning of Kashtira era. I'm always in the top 4. If I'm not in the top 4, I barely missed it by a spot. I'm always there. So, with that being said, I'm one of the best players in the area. I'm really hard to beat. I'm not somebody that you can just sit across the table from and just be like, oh, well, this is going to be an easy game, because no, it's not, because more than likely I know exactly how your deck plays, and unless if you got a few deck cards in there, I know exactly how your deck plays, because I study every single deck profile that comes out. I know every single card that's in those decks, because I know the exact meta list for every deck right now. It's like, I know Kashtira, they are going for the Raid Raptor Utopic future lock to out nib, but is it really that good Copic FO. Not really. Can't be destroyed by card effects or battle, but you can still be destroyed by battle or card effects, but Silk Widows can still return it to the extra deck. Not really that hard to out, and yeah, it does have monster negate, but you know, again, like most decks, like Altergeist, we got protocol, so it doesn't really matter because you can't negate my effects anyway. But it's just knowing those strategies and knowing how to hit them, knowing the cards, knowing how to play the interaction with them, and knowing what is for effect and what is for cost, which I had recently like learned on a few cards, exactly like reading it, knowing exactly what is for effect and cost. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know what effect and cost is, so anything that is for effect, it will have a semicolon on it. So it will not only have the colon, but it will also have the semicolon on it as well. So whenever you see that, that is an effect for, that is, the effect is just completely for effect. And then once you start hitting your commas, then it starts hitting, you know, what you do for cost. Which you're, anytime you do something for cost, it is, you have to do something in order to activate that a part of the effect, which is your cost. So with the Altergeist Marionetta, she reads, and this first support's for cost, so you target one other Altergeist you control and one engrave. You send the one other Altergeist on field to grave for cost. You target the one engrave as for cost. You special summon it from graveyard is the effect. So this does play around skill drain, but because it resolves engrave. But if your opponent has like Ghost Spell or anything that stops that, like Called By or anything, then that part of the effect will not resolve. So you can't negate cost, but you can negate the effect after the cost has been paid. If that makes any sense. So I recently, you know, had this big spiel where I had to learn it and everything. And I have constant reminders in case if I forget at any point in time. So, we've covered that. I'm trying to think. Like I said, I try to play everything as legit as I can. Try to make sure I put out good content for you all. So you all will learn and really know the game. Because you don't need, like, is it good to have the best cards in the game? Yeah, it's good to have the best cards in the game. Now, however, are they necessarily, do you have to have them to win necessarily? No. So, like, one of, if I can find it, like, for a lot of players, that card is a weapon. That is Pot of Prosperity. Now, why is this card a weapon necessarily? Well, if you have the extra deck space and you really don't care for your extra deck, you can just banish 6 cards, and if it goes through, you can look at the top 6 cards of your deck and add one hand. That is an absolute weapon. I like that better than Pot of Extravagance. And Pot of Extravagance, when it came out, was like $130 a copy. Pot of Prosperity was exactly the same, because the cards are so broken. You can look at the top 6 cards and have one. Like, that's, you're digging deep. If they make a pot card more broken than that, I would be shocked. Because Pot of Prosperity is absolutely insane. I use it in every single deck that I have. Because that card is just so broken. Like, I literally will not play a deck without Pot of Prosperity because of how good that card is. Now, another card that I play in almost every deck, but I don't play it in Altergeist, is Triple Tactics. Not Thrust, Tactics. So Thrust is kind of cool, but I get most of my payoff through Tactics because it has 3 broken effects, not 1, 3. I can take control of a monster non-targeting. I can spin a card from your hand, can't do anything about, and I can draw 2 cards, which you have to ash it. And probably you've already used it, which is why I'm activating the card in the first place. So like, these cards are good, and they're absolutely insane. Actually, Tactics is actually really easy to get a hold of, because it's like $14-15 a copy right now. Prosperity is like 38 to 40, 38 to 46, somewhere in that range. So it's kind of harder to get a hold of. But if you have both of these cards at your disposal, you can do a lot better in games, and actually you could grind out games pretty far. So with that, I'm going to end the video here. If you guys have any questions about anything that I went over in this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. I am Pierce Nation, and I will see you in the next video. Pierce Nation out.